Cahill looking to join Lucas Neal on 96 games, should he be called upon. And veteran Ismail Matar, who scored against Australia in the 2003 FIFA World Youth Championship, is in reserve for the Emirates. Well, it all started here at the SFS for Ange Postecoglou, a 1-0 win over Costa Rica in November 2013. And Sydney is where he's had his finest moment in lifting the Asian Cup. This could be one of his more stressful nights in charge of the Roos. Mahdi Ali is under the pump as well. He was asked would he resign after the loss to Japan. He and Postecoglou, the two longest serving coaches in Asia, behind Iran's Carlos Queiroz. Our referee, 33-year-old Ahmed Al-Kaf of Oman, whose last game in charge of an Australian team was Western Sydney Wanderers' 5-1 loss to Shanghai SIPG in the Asian Champions League recently. Mark Milligan, of course, plays his club football in the Emirates for Bani Yas. He knows today's opponents very well, including their talisman, Omar Abdul Rahman. There is the number 21 for the Emirates. He has had chances to move to big clubs in Europe with Benfica and Manchester City in particular, where he trialled, but he remains with Al Ain, where he earns a reported $4 million a year in salary. Well, around 25,000 inside the Sydney Football Stadium. We're told there are still big lines, big queues outside. Latecomers trying to take their seats, so a few of those empty blue areas will be filled in a few minutes' time. An interesting change between the posts for both teams today. Ali Kasif replacing Khaled Issa. For the Emirates, Matt Ryan back in for Mitch Langrak for the Roos, and Trent Sainsbury gets a call up again after missing out in Tehran. Part of that new look back three that had a few teething troubles in Iran. Let's see how they go tonight. The most important 90 minutes then, as we say, since the Asian Cup final here in Sydney 2 years ago. And a similar result, probably the minimum requirement, Andy Harper.
Yeah, g'day, Simon. It's the most important game until the next one, because the road to Russia is an unrelenting one. And the Socceroos find themselves the focus of a lot of national introspection. And how strongly, how quickly can they come out of the blocks here? How cagey will the UAE be? Stung themselves by a faltering campaign. This is why we're qualifying through Asia, all the nerves and anxiety that goes with it. It's going to be a fascinating, probably pulsating 90 minutes.
It's been a rather grey day in Sydney, but cool temperatures for kick-off, and pleased to report that the surface is, at the very least, much better than the one the Socceroos played on in Tehran a few days ago. Let's hope the rain stays away. Was the threat of it. Lecky trying to punch it in towards the penalty area. James Troisi, who's got a key role to play tonight in replacing Aramoy, in great form, of course, in the A-League.
Yeah, if the Socceroos can get Troisi to cut and paste his form, blistering as it's been for Melbourne victory, the opportunities should come for the green and gold. The first attack of the day for the Socceroos, the pass out of defence, importantly, was a clean and positive one from Trent Sainsbury.
Emirates immediately looking for Omar Abdul Rahman. In the air is not necessarily his go. Instead, Australia break it up and sweep it out towards Matt Leckie on the right. And try and bend it in behind the defence for Jackson Irvine.
So let's take this first little snapshot of the new system, Simon, because in the old system that would have been Matt Leckie making that inside channel run with a lot more speed to reel the ball in, but Leckie starting much wider. It's now the job under Postecoglou's rejig formation for Jackson Irvine to make that forward run, and quite obviously didn't have the speed to get there. But a great starting debut for him last week in Iran. Fantastic performance from Jackson Irvine.
That close to his first international goal as well, denied by a really good save. There's that man, Jackson Irvine, who plays with Burton Albion in England's second tier. It's loose from Walid Abbas, who has been unwell in the build-up to this game, and it's the turnover that might allow Australia to profit through Matthew Leckie, but he just lost his balance at the crucial moment. Instead, it's with Ismail Al-Hamadi, and pumped up field by Walid Abbas. Here's Omar Abdul Rahman. Always danger when he's on the ball. Trent Sainsbury has front position, but he's left it a little bit short. Matt Ryan out to sweep, which might not be for the only time tonight.
That might be one of the reasons why Matt Ryan has pipped Mitch Langerak at the post. Langerak had a good game, maybe. The more you see the goal scored by Iraq, the more maybe you might question Mitch Langerak's decision not to try and intercept the ball on the 6-yard box. But you'd fancy that Matt Ryan, for this game, with Australia, hopefully the plan to dominate possession and push high up the field. Matt Ryan's, I'd say, advantage as a goalkeeper is his ability on the ground.
Horses for courses. The black armbands, incidentally, are for the late Dr. Brian Corrigan, who was the medic for the Socceroos in the 1974 World Cup, who sadly passed away a few months ago. Just on the personnel that have been selected tonight, Andy, do you feel as though there's a better balance about the Socceroos? I'm thinking in particular of Brad Smith playing on that left side of, well, I suppose the attack you could call it.
Well, and in as far as him being a natural lefty, it's very possible.
And more aware defensively.
Yeah, well, look at what goes against Brad Smith is his lack of football. And we certainly hope that he can get into the swing of the game pretty quickly because he's a dynamic athlete.
This is Ali Mabkouts, who's well marshalled by Trent Sainsbury. And he's given it straight back to Omar Abdul Rahman. Those wonderful feats of the Emirati playmaker, although they've not found a teammate from that release. And instead it's James Troisi for Australia.
Anyone expected Trent Sainsbury, after somewhat of a football hiatus, for him to come in and start belting the ball long and panicking, even though he gave it away. We perhaps disappointed that he didn't clear his lines, because that was a half opportunity, and the less Omar Abdul Rahman has the ball, the better for Australia.
I don't need turnovers like that either from Jackson Irvine. This is Ahmed Khalil, who tries to stab it through for Ali Mabkouts. Matt Ryan alert to the danger, but just one or two little warning signs in the early stages for the Socceroos. Can't afford to just give the ball away that cheaply. Low hum around the crowd in Sydney as they digest that little passage of play. Here's Tommy Juric. That'll be a corner for Australia.
Well, it's high-pressure stuff, so, I mean, you can feel it. The player's not completely sure of the touch at the moment, and the pass is just making their destination. And the corner resulting of another positive move for Australia, but it might not have been. The pass might have been cut out.
Noise levels rise in expectation. Troisi with the outswinger, and it's gone in! Jackson Irvine! He nearly scored in Tehran. He has scored in Sydney. A first international goal for the young midfielder. What a start for Ange Postecoglou's team. That will steady the nerves.
Well, we've been reading and watching from a distance the emergence of Jackson Irvine. Burton Albion in England has been the beneficiary of exactly this type of move from set pieces and from general play. Rising above the pack, Jackson Irvine. And into the back of the net to settle the nerves for the Socceroos.
Well, it may even go down as an own goal. Abdulaziz Sankour certainly got the final touch, but it was heading goalwards, and I'm sure Irvine will claim it. You try taking that one off the young man. Just what the doctor ordered. And that's brought the crowd to life as well. Because I think it is fair to say, and we have mentioned it in the build-up, Andy, there has been so much nervousness around the Australian national team in recent weeks. That will surely help. And of course, he's become a regular goal scorer in England, Jackson Irvine. 9 for Burton Albion from midfield this season. Now he has an international goal to go with it. And here they go, come looking for a second. Irvine. Juric protects the ball across the face dangerously. Leckie. The angle was a little too narrow for the man from Ingolstadt. But the Socceroos with their tails up here.
Or does he make a play at the goal here, Matt Leckie, or does he square it? Great anticipation from Brad Smith. I'll give Matt Leckie the benefit of the doubt, and this is intended to be cut back in front of the goal. And he's miscued the opportunity. Good pressure being built by Australia.
Off the head of Sainsbury. It favours Omar Abdul Rahman. Trying to reward the run of Ismail Al-Hamadi. After a rather cagey opening from both teams, all of a sudden the game has got real pace about it. Degenek. Milligan turns away from Omar Abdul Rahman, who then drags Milligan down. I'm told those two have got a bit of history in domestic club football. Had a bit of a set too in a game between Banias and Al Ain. And let's confirm for you that the match commissioner says, yep, Jackson Irvine claims the goal. Trent Sainsbury. Not seeing an awful lot of game time for his club side in Italy, Inter Milan. Nor, of course, is Brad Smith, whose touch there is not particularly favourable. Started just 3 Premier League games this season for AFC Bournemouth in England. Dug out by Jedinak. Clipped forward by Degenek. Came off the head of Ahmed Barman, and it will favour Tommy Juric, who helps it on towards James Troisi. Australia could be in again here. That's a good tackle. Really good tackle by Ismail Ahmed. The Emirates were really stretched there for a moment, and Australia decisive and determined in the challenge. Troisi trying to skip clear of Ismail Al-Hamadi, to no avail on that occasion. It's a good touch by Ahmed Khalil. Al-Hamadi again.
Well, that's brilliant from Jackson Irvine, because I'd venture to suggest that Ismail Al-Hamadi is the fastest player on the field, and that ball needed to be won there and then by Jackson Irvine.
Milligan. Juric, I think, was potentially coming back from an offside position anyway. I'm sure Mark Milligan is happy to be restored into that midfield role today. He's told us on plenty of occasions that's his preferred position. Looking to go to his 4th World Cup, of course. Although he actually only played in the last one in Brazil. Nobody ever really mentions Mark Milligan as being part of the golden generation, which is probably unfair, isn't it? This is Walid Abbas. Omar Abdul Rahman. Sainsbury there again. He's already looking very assured in that back 3 for Australia. Perhaps importantly as well, and he's shown just in that little sequence of play that he's communicating well as well, which is maybe one of the keys to this new system.
Yeah, possibly. Certainly. A variation of approach from the opponents today. This time, on Thursday, Iraq were just battering the Australian defenders with an aerial assault that, quite frankly, was not dealt with by the Socceroos. Early signs that the UAE might have been employing the same tactic, but they've settled now. And they're looking, as one would expect, to get the ball as much as possible to their talisman now on the ball, Omar Abdul Rahman.
Oh, lovely scoop forward towards Ahmed Khalil. Unfortunately for the Emirates, Khalil was offside, but What about that dexterous piece of play from Omar Abdul Rahman? He could literally open a tin of beans with that left foot. Now, the overlap on. Brad Smith. Juric trying to get into a decent position, but he's not found by Smith. Disappointing cross. Lightning quick attack there by Australia. Space for Milligan to try and exploit, and Smith has plenty of time here to assess his options. Again, the cutback is not really the best. This is Ali Mabkut. Omar Abdul Rahman. He doesn't try the simple ball, does he? Abdul Rahman always goes for the defence puncturing option. Came back off his own player. Milligan. Jedinak's touch too heavy.
It was a very tight pass from Mark Milligan to his skipper, Millie Jedinak, however. Narrow angle, narrow laneway through which to thread the ball.
Bailey Wright not quite finding his range. Sainsbury ushering his teammates forward. Degenek working it out towards Leckie. Degenek might have been under threats tonight had Massimo Luongo pulled up fit from the trip to Tehran. The feeling was that Milligan would have stayed in the back line and Degenek would have been the man to make way. Anyway, he's got a reprieve. Juric offside.
You're talking about communication. There was a great example or opportunity for Matt Leckie to open his windpipes and tell Tommy Juric to stay out of it. I reckon Leckie would have got to this. Clearly offside, Tommy Juric. Leckie even reacts late.
Bailey Wright clambering all over the top of Omar Abdul Rahman. The other thing you don't particularly want to do is give away a series of free kicks in these sort of areas with the talent of Abdul Rahman.
It was a very clever play by Omar Abdul Rahman. He looked for the defender. He put himself in a position where Bailey Wright, he couldn't drop anchor quick enough and clattered into the Emirati midfielder. And you're 100% correct, Simon. This player in this sort of territory, in open play or from a set piece, is particularly dangerous.
Very recognisable frizzy hairstyle. And just had a clampdown, would you believe, in the Emirates on players' hairstyles. His was deemed to be unethical, but he's been given a reprieve. Maybe because of his fame. Let's see if Australia are going to get a reprieve for Bailey Wright's foul, or are the Emirates about to make them pay? Omar Abdul Rahman and Matt Ryan had to scamper across his line. Well, that was a fine save on his return to the national team. Now, that's a glimpse of Omar Abdul Rahman's abilities. And Ryan's too.
Well, look at the desperation of Matt Ryan, and if he's not as desperate as he was, that hits the back of the net. Brilliant free kick.
A little over physical from Mohamed Salem, which Matt Leckie doesn't particularly appreciate.
And the ref's going to have a word with Mohamed Salem, as he must. Well, he did call him over and now he's forgotten about it. A bit like the haircut rule in the Emirates. It's a Clayton's rule.
Remember that central defensive partnership in Abu Dhabi? Mohamed Salem and Ismail Ahmed, they were terrific that night. It was breached late on, of course, by Tim Cahill's winner. That's why they've rushed Ismail Ahmed back from injury tonight. Here's Tommy Juric. He's overcooked that one.
Now, this is where the concentration and discipline really needs to be rock solid, and that's nothing either other than a lack of both from Tommy Juric there.
Have to go all the way back to 1990 to find the last and only time that the Emirates qualified for the World Cup. They lost all 3 games in the group stage that tournament in Italy. Stumble by Ali Mabkout, which should allow Degenek to see the ball out. And the closest they've come since 1990 to qualifying was reaching the Asian playoff, which they lost to Iran in 2002. But given the money that's slopping around Emirati football, Andy, you wouldn't imagine that the UAE FA would be particularly happy about that state of affairs, and maybe why their coach, Mardi Ali, is under such pressure.
Yeah, well, they're in the other group, of course, but you can put Qatar in the same discussion. They're just a multi-billion-dollar investment in football. And at the international level, Asian Cup semi-final aside in 2015, really, it's yet to bear fruit. I mean, they'll keep ploughing that financial furrow, there's no question about that, but the patience is going to be exhausted with individuals before the program's exhausted.
Oh, now Australia have been caught out. Degenek in particular. It's Ali Mabkout just floated over Degenek's head. Walid Abbas to inject himself into this attack into the penalty area, and it's scooped away by Jedinak, and Australia got lucky.
Yeah, they recovered well. Good defensive assistance provided by skipper Jedinak.
Pumped forward by Sainsbury. This is Abdulaziz Sankour. All the way back to Ali Kassif in goal. Ahmed Khalil was offside. Matt Ryan was making sure that Australia had that back door locked, because again they didn't particularly deal with that well. And now foul by Degenek. Errors starting to creep in. Quickly taken. Walid Abbas dangerously in towards the near post. That's better by Australia, but still they can't get it clear. Ali Mabkout can't reach it.
Well, they've got a head of steam at the moment, the Emirates. It's a dangerous period for Australia. Australia's inability to keep possession and cheap turnovers, not able to hold the ball in the front half of the field, has invited this little comeback from the Emirates, who are up for the fight. Make no mistake, there's another turnover.
James Troisi is just limped off the pitch for the moment. He's got a whack, I think, to the stomach in that previous passage of play. He's back with us now, but looking a little groggy. Oh, look at that from Omar Abdul Rahman. And dragged down by Bailey Wright. I tell you what, he's going to be lucky to escape a booking for that. Well, I think he's fortunate. Don't know if you agree, Andy.
Yeah, well, the referee said that's your second foul on the same player, so just watch it.
Mohamed Salah. UAE just starting to grow in confidence, perhaps, after the concession of that early goal.
That's good pressure. That's a good effort upfield for the Socceroos, particularly if Troisi is a little wounded. And let's see if the Emirates are forced to take the throw deep, which they should be. They've taken a 20-metre liberty at the moment.
Referee Ahmed Al-Kaf is not particularly happy with some of the back chat that's coming his way from Bailey Wright in particular.
I'm sorry, I don't wish to be pedantic, but that's ridiculous. Australia worked to lock the UAE into their own corner, and he's allowed to walk upfield 20 metres.
This is Smith. Milos Degenek. Brings it up towards Juric. Offside against the Australian striker. Certainly not from that position on the pitch either. Mohamed Salah doesn't care, and he's floated it in towards Omar Abdul Rahman.
Yeah, great defending from Sainsbury. Timed it to perfection. Put a little bit of meat into the nudge as well. Dangerous ball in behind Degenek. Sainsbury to the rescue. That's a really good defensive read.
Trent Sainsbury, of course, scored against the Emirates in that Asian Cup semi-final a couple of years back in Newcastle. Won 2-0 by the Socceroos. Here he is on the ball again. Be frightened to carry it forwards. Real footballing centre-back is Trent Sainsbury. Sadly, the same can't be said on that occasion for his teammate Brad Smith.
That's just error upon error, just piling pressure on the Socceroos, all self-inflicted at the moment.
That's a good touch, though, in the air by Troisi. Juric. Smith wants it left side. Juric goes right for Leckie instead. Can he get a decent delivery in? Full marks to Walid Abbas, who got back goal side. Australia have a corner, though.
He did defend that well, Walid Abbas. And I thought physically it'd have a bigger impression on Matt Leckie, but on a couple of occasions Matt Leckie's had the opportunity to beat him one-on-one. He's done it reasonably easily, although the recovery from Walid Abbas was sufficient. Australia scored from their last corner. Let's see if they can double the dose.
Again, it's going to be Troisi. This time they deal with it a lot better, the Emirates. Mohamed Salah with the clearing effort. Milligan. No way through for Troisi. This time Troisi started for the Socceroos was in Bishkek against Kyrgyzstan. The very first qualifier of these 2018 series games. Gets his chance tonight due to the suspension being served by Aaron Moy. Already he's claimed an assist for that Jackson Irvine opener. This is Omar Abdul Rahman. Ahmed Khalil. Again, they're just looking for those little combinations in and around the Australian penalty area. Ali Mabkout not able to get on the end of that one. Troisi. Sliding challenge by Mohamed Salah. Milligan for Irvine. Juric. Just blocked off of the pass by Ismail Ahmed, who then gives him a bit of a bake for, he believes, was a dive. Free kick UAE for the earlier foul on Omar Abdul Rahman.
Is there a foul on there on Tommy Juric by Ismail Ahmed? I'd say on the balance of things so far it was a foul.
10th foul of the game. Australia have committed 8 of them. This is Tariq Ahmed. Ahmed Khalil took it first time, but flag against Ali Mabkout. Even Mahdi Ali looking a little flustered. We've watched him on the coaching benches plenty of times, Andy, and he's normally a pretty cool customer, but he knows it could be the end of the road for him if his team lose tonight.
Yeah, he's done a wonderful job with this team, there's no question, but the campaign hasn't gone to plan. And a student of the game, there's no question, highly qualified man outside of football as well. But he's riding everything at the moment. This is so important for the UAE, and they're doing very, very well at the moment. They've got the balance of play.
It's a clever header by Ahmed Khalil. It's good, strong play by Brad Smith to get in ahead of Abdulaziz Sankour. That's what he's there to do, at least in part.
Yeah, you're quite right.
It's the sort of defensive diligence that was perhaps missing in Tehran.
Yeah, possibly so, but he's then got to deliver on the back of that foundation with a much more assured touch in possession. Further upfield, there's a couple of completely unforced errors, and you know, we've watched Ange Postecoglou's teams are all about building pressure through wave after wave of attack. That's got to be a free.
Yeah, Juric clattered again, this time by the other central defender, Mohamed Salem.
And when you're an Emirati centre-half, you haven't been pinged yet, you're just going to continue until the ref actually blows the whistle.
No foul that time on Troisi. There is one there by Juric. Home fans frustrated. It's two decent whacks he's taken from either central defender. It's part of the job description as a striker, isn't it?
Well, particularly against these guys. Ismail Ahmed, the 19, his performance in Abu Dhabi was just warrior-like. And of course, Mohamed Salem, the number 6, his partner, not far behind.
Somewhat wayward back pass by Ismail Ahmed has invited further pressure on Australia. We've got two footballers on the pitch at the moment, which we could do without.
Not if we score with one this time.
Well, that's true. Juric. Squared up for Miller Jedinak, the Australian captain. And now Lecky. Faced by Ismail Al-Hamadi. Sainsbury. Oh, and yet again, Brad Smith just took his eye off the ball. Or was he blaming the pitch? Surely not.
For the third or fourth time.
Half an hour played in Sydney. Australia 1, UAE 0. Jackson Irvine with the goal after just 6 minutes. Omar Abdul Rahman, the danger man, trying to angle it out towards Ali Mabkout. Matt Ryan should be able to see it out. Now playing regular football, of course, with Genk in the Belgian league after he lost out to Diego Alves for the number 1 jersey at Valencia. Showing he's lost none of his sharpness in playing that sweeper-keeper role. Good header by Juric. Jackson Irvine wants to get on with it. Poor touch by Jedinak. That's the turnover for Ali Mabkout, and that's a handball against Troisi. Abdulaziz Sankour. For Omar Abdul Rahman. Tariq Ahmed under pressure. Emirates, of course, missing their regular number 5, Ahmad Abdul Rahman, who's out injured at the moment. Deep-lying playmaker, which is the role Tariq Ahmed is fulfilling tonight. Going the more direct routes, but Ismail Ahmed's comfortable enough. And interesting, Andy, that despite Australia's 1-goal advantage, it's yet another goal that's not from open play. The last 2 have been from corners, the 3 prior to that, all from the penalty spot.
Yeah, well, they haven't looked like being consistently dangerous in open play, the Socceroos. They're finding her going difficult at the moment, and it's principally because of the unforced error rate.
That's the third foul committed by Bailey Wright on Omar Abdulrahman. Still no card. It's the fifth foul suffered by Omar Abdulrahman so far. Here he is on the ball again. It's not his best ball of the night. Heavy off Juric. Was he collected there by Ali Mabkout? Referee says play on. Ismail Al-Hamadi, chance here for the Emirates. And he went the wrong way. And Australia are grateful for that, but there might have been a foul in back play on Tommy Juric. And Australia would have been cooking had that led to an equaliser. Another poor touch from Grant Smith.
Well, Tommy Juric's touch was heavy.
Was he caught by Mabkout?
No, not particularly. And Tommy knew that he was second best in that situation. I think played for it. There might have been slight touch, but I wouldn't call it material. Just the touch has got to be better for Australia. They're making their own trouble.
Jackson Irvine might make his own chance here. Trying to square it up for Jedinak, which was the right idea. Emirates got numbers back, and now they've got a free kick. Word from the UAE bench is that they're about to make an early change. There is Mohammed Abdulrahman. You'll recognise the hair. Yeah, he is the brother of Omar Abdulrahman, and he's a dead ringer for him. And we're told that Tariq Ahmed, wearing 5, is about to be replaced. Now, Tariq Ahmed has only just been brought back into the Emirates 11 after serving a 1-game suspension. So unless he's picked up an injury early on, I just wonder whether that's a tactical change about to be made by Mahdi Ali. Meantime, Jackson Irvine gets it back off Milligan. Troisi collected by Tariq Ahmed. Maybe that's the reason.
Well, he's been very good so far, Tariq Ahmed. He's provided great coverage. It's the first foul committed by him this evening, I think. In any event, Australia are leading that stat quite handsomely.
We're going to wait until after this set piece is taken before making the change, or are they? No, they're going to do it now. Well, the old rule is you don't make a change when you're defending a set piece, particularly a corner. And perhaps that's why they've changed their mind again. So Mohammed Abdulrahman will wait a few more moments. Let's see if another set piece pays dividends for the Roos. James Troisi again to clip it in. Jedinak to rework it. It's a little too high for Jackson Irvine. Juric back for Troisi. Troisi continuing his run, and it's opened up for him nicely. James Troisi couldn't keep the effort down, but it was a surging run through midfield.
Yeah, more promising. Just the dink over the top. Good controlled play by Sainsbury to reward the run. Might have done better with the shot, actually. The form is in, the quality he's got. But a better sign for Australia, more positive, more definitive.
Well, here's that change. Mohammed Abdulrahman, who was, by all accounts, rather unwell first couple of days in Sydney. Missed a training session or two through sickness, but he is the early change made by Mahdi Ali. And Tariq Ahmed's comeback into the Emirates midfield was rather brief. Meantime, we're hearing Ange Postecoglou is encouraging his charges to attack that area where Omar Abdulrahman fails to track. He can, on occasion, Andy, be, although a sublimely talented player, rather lazy in his defensive duty.
Well, you know, that's the criticism of him, but, you know, there's plenty of coaches around the world who can afford to have a talent like that, not doing the defensive work, but his job is to win the game at the other end of the field. He's done it plenty of times at club level. It's what they need from him tonight, is to produce those moments. He's already forced one excellent save from Matt Ryan, let's not forget. He's dragging Bailey Wright into some very dangerous, nervous territory, the Australian defender. But you can't expose a player like that and his lack of willingness or ability to track back if you don't keep the ball. And again, another turnover for Australia, just inviting the United Arab Emirates repeatedly back into the contest. And they're remonstrating in the technical area, the Emiratis. They've had enough, they want a yellow card.
Well, that's the 6th foul suffered by Omar Abdulrahman. Australia yet to be sanctioned, hence why Mahdi Ali is blowing up at the officials on the touchline. This is Mohammed Abdulrahman. Maybe his arrival will inspire his brother a little bit more. Kassif's clearance straight at Smith. He's turned it over. Oh, good turn. Ismail Al-Hamadi, and he steers it in behind. Chance here for Ahmed Khalil, but the flag's up against the 2015 Asian Player of the Year. And it's the correct decision. For his 50th goal for his country tonight, Ahmed Khalil, just 88 games. It's the final 5 minutes of the first half. Lucky for the give and go with Milligan. Bailey Wright. Good strength by Brad Smith to shrug off Abdulaziz Sankor, and is around Ismail Ahmed. Now what about the quality of the cross? Mohamed Salah gets his body in the way. Smith gets another go at it, cuts it back. Mark Milligan, and deflected into the gloves of Ali Kassif. But it was a scintillating raid down the left by Brad Smith, which very nearly paid off for Australia. Leckie not quick enough to prevent the ball going out on the right flank.
Well, it's a great intercept by Salem. And the pass goes behind Milligan. Not required. Milligan doesn't need to repeat it. It was obvious. You've got to put it on a plate for your support player so he can just strike the ball towards goal. When you've got that much time to set up your teammate. And a great burst by Brad Smith. There's no question about that, but the end product questionable.
Australia would love the cushion of a second goal before the break. Troisi busy trying to provide it. Again, the delivery from Smith doesn't find its target. Now, danger on the counter potentially. Omar Abdulrahman, but his range is off a little bit. And scooped out towards Ahmed Khalil off the boot of Bailey Wright. The UAE get a throw, but a little bit scruffy in their approach play there. Could have been more. Omar Abdul Rahman dinks it forward for Walid Abbas. Ahmed Khalil. That's not what is required for Mahdi Ali's team. Well held up by Juric. Troisi got a ricochet, but worked out all right for Lecky, as did that for Troisi, as did that off Al Hamadi. 3 strokes of good fortune for Australia.
Very much so, Simon, and they're looking for half-time, the Socceroos, not in their body language, but they're looking, well, they're lacking freshness. You can understand it, the amount of travel. I mean, this hasn't been said, Australia with the home ground advantage, etc. But the big advantage of the less travel goes with the UAE, and the Socceroos, if they don't score here, need to get into the sheds, re-energise and refocus, find their touch.
Troisi's corner. Well met by Omar Abdul Rahman. Australia have got a man down inside the penalty area. He's trying to get out of the way. It was Lecky and then Troisi. The angle was very acute. He's full of confidence at the moment, James Troisi.
That's the point, Simon, and congratulations to him. You know, in another occasion, he might have killed that ball and tried to see what else was on offer. But to be honest, at this point, I'd rather see a player in a gold shirt actually with the confidence to take an opportunity like that and make the most of it. Didn't come off, but you can't criticise the intent and the belief.
Too short for Smith, but it'll work out all right for Jedinak. Smith again, Juric taking his position around the penalty spot. Funnel back through Jedinak. Better angle now for Smith. Decent ball in. It'll drop for Matt Lecky. Emirates want the half-time whistle now as we move into first half stoppage time.
Yeah, well, that was better play. That was a terrific ball into the box from Brad Smith. The second effort released by Mila Jedinak, the skipper. Hit in a really dangerous ball. Emirates defended it well. Credit to the visitors' defence. And a great tonic this would be. The Socceroos have threatened from corners. Of course, that's the situation from which their goal came.
Well, there's a bit of shirt fronting going on between Ali Mabkout and Tommy Juric. Neither willing to take a backward step. Ahmed Al-Kaf there to intervene. He's been bumped and battered around a bit, Tommy Juric, in this first half. And whatever Ali Mabkout did or said, Juric wasn't having it. Might be the final action of the first half. Troisi on corner kick duty again. And Al-Kaf has spotted an infringement. That might just see us through to the break. And that is confirmed. So, 45 minutes played. Jackson Irvine has the goal that matters. It came after just 6 minutes for Australia from a calm and collected, but he knows the danger that the UAE pose, and in particular the man you just saw on screen, Omar Abdul Rahman, and he is quickly into the action to dispossess Australia right from the kickoff. This could be another nervy 3/4 of an hour, Andy Harper.
Well, it was a nervy first 3/4 of an hour, Simon. The UAE had a lot of the game, a lot of the flow of the game, the Socceroos with unforced errors. I'm sure that was at least one part of the half-time address. To believe and relax and play their stuff, and it happened on occasion, but there were way too many errors in touch and judgment.
That's not an error though from Brad Smith. That's really strong play. He just bowls Abdulaziz Sankor out of the road, and credit to the fullback, he got back goal side, quick sticks. Sure, another thing that Ange Postecoglou would really like is not only the cushion of a second goal, but one from open play. Here's an early test for that injured goalkeeper, or at least that's what we're led to believe. Ali Kassif, he classes that one with flying colours. Well, in fairness, the hamstring wasn't really tested from that delivery. Just to reiterate the importance of 3 points tonight for Australia, in third spot in the group as it stands. And the two teams above them, Japan and Saudi Arabia, both have home games against Thailand and Iraq respectively tonight. Can't afford to lose any further ground on those automatic qualifying spots. Strong play by Matthew Leckie, clever play. What about the cross? Not bad either. Scooped away to safety by Abdulaziz Sankour. Australia have a corner. But terrific work from Matt Leckie on the right.
Well, Leckie has had some very good moments tonight, but this is the best one. Beautiful nutmeg to get rid of Walid Abbas. And then through Salam as well. And where you need a player inside the 6-yard box for a tap-in, Australia couldn't find one.
James Troisi has provided one pinpoint corner for Jackson Irvine in the first half. Let's see what he can do with this one. Was flicked on by Jackson Irvine, and it was Jedinak sliding in at the back post. Straight into the arms of Ali Kassif. Those set pieces have provided some of Australia's best moments. A little bit of irritation from Mohamed Abdul Rahman. Brad Smith trying to prevent a restart. Gets a warning from Ahmed Al-Kaf. Omar Abdul Rahman leaving the ball behind. Not often he does that. This is Juric. Almost in the playmaking role. Does he know what to do with it? He's done all right. And then he turns it over cheaply. Another one to add to the tally, Andy.
He made good ground there, Tommy Juric, and almost apologised for being in the position. In the end, he gets a chance to make amends here.
That's the cross like here from Brad Smith. Slid out of play by Ismail Ahmed. Another corner for Australia. Good pressure at the outset of this second half.
Yeah, well, that's the word, Simon. They've built good pressure early, the Socceroos. A dangerous delivery into the penalty area. No one there to finish it off yet.
Again, they gather around the penalty spot in anticipation of James Troisi's delivery, which has invariably been spot on today. Near post he goes this time. Juric unable to get enough purchase on the flick on, and then a foul, which the home fans don't like. The Emirates are away quickly through Ali Mabkouts. Now Omar Abdul Rahman looking for the quick return. Brad Smith well positioned. And he's been collected late by Mabkouts, and Smith is off the pitch injured at the moment. Juric trying to get between the two central defenders. Awkward bouncing ball for Ahmed Barman. James Troisi says, I'll have it. And then Barman cuts across him, and there is no whistle from Ahmed Al-Kaf.
I don't know how not. I mean, it was a clear obstruction. Very positive play again from James Troisi. I mean, that's a clear foul from everything I've seen in the past. Never mind. The referee's done his best. I mean, just a word on the referee. And what has occasionally been a series of niggly situations, he has been able to let the game flow.
He's kept his cards in his pocket as well. Bailey Wright, for one, was probably grateful for that in the first half. Committed a series of infringements on Omar Abdul Rahman. This is Brad Smith. Now the aforementioned Bailey Wright. On by Jackson Irvine, but nobody there. No way through for Omar Abdul Rahman. Good steal by Jackson Irvine, and then rather loose on its way through towards Juric, who casts his head skywards in frustration.
Yeah, just a little bit straight. Also, Brad Smith provided a great outlet. Here's an overload for the UAE, which might be troublesome for Australia.
Ali Mabkout gets it back from Omar Abdulrahman, and there's space on the left. Chance here for Ismail Al-Hamadi. As he delayed too long, Degenek is back in position. Al-Hamadi waiting for support to arrive from Walid Abbas. Now Mohamed Abdulrahman. They'll work it through Ahmed Barman in midfield. And then out to Abdulaziz Sankour. Oh, lovely ball. Flag was up against Ali Mabkout. Tidy finish. It's not going to count. Offside against the 2015 Asian Cup top goal scorer.
Well done. Defended those situations well, the Socceroos. But that transition spelt danger. There was an overlap forming early. Mabkout, he sized up the opportunity and swung the ball out to the left. Al-Hamadi couldn't do anything about it, and he is offside. It's a good call from the assistant. As the ball was played, he'd breached that last line.
Troisi and Smith combining to good effect. Again, Ismail Ahmed's forced into evasive action.
Well, it's growing. The combination down the left for the Socceroos is growing. Brad Smith, the principal beneficiary. It's been a good turnaround from Smith in this second half. There's no complaint about his effort or his drive in that first half, but his touch let him down on more than one occasion. Started the second half very well.
Australia's seventh corner. The Emirates yet to win one. Troisi again. Then he goes near post. Helped back in by Smith, but easy for Ali Kasif. And the UAE, interestingly, are going to make another change right at the outset of the second half. Maybe that's why they weren't keen to replace their goalkeeper, to leave them two changes. Ahmed Khalil, we're told, is going to be replaced. He was, of course, struggling in the build-up to this game with a calf injury, the gun striker for the Emirates. Juric took a tumble and was looking for a whistle, which never came. Well dug out by Sainsbury. He's had a very steady outing. Brad Smith. Again, loose with the cutback, this time for Troisi. Belted upfield by Mohamed Salem. Good climb by Sainsbury, but it's dropped to the feet of Omar Abdulrahman, who is then upended by Milligan. Those two again. I don't think they're overly fond of each other.
Well, as you reported, he's got history with the family. Mark Milligan. The ref says just leave the ball and get on with the play. There was a slight delay brought about by Milligan's interference. Again, maybe Simon, letter of the law, might have been fortunate to get away with that. And here's the change.
He'll be grateful he did get away with it, because Milligan is one of those players carrying a yellow card into this game. Another booking would rule him out of the next qualifier against Saudi Arabia in Adelaide on the 8th of June. Meantime, Ahmed Khalil cutting a rather disconsolate figure. In truth, he's been rather peripheral tonight.
Yeah, offside too many times. And he's a dangerous player. Australia have seen a very dangerous threat off. And the UAE bring on a player who was outstanding in that first game. Khamis Ismail.
He was a central midfielder, so you'd imagine that Ali Mabkout would move to the central striking role for the Emirates. Right again on Omar Abdulrahman, and surely he can't escape this time.
Well, to me, Bailey Wright's just stood his ground. Omar Abdulrahman has turned that into professional wrestling.
But if you see it as a foul, then...
Well, I agree with you.
5 fouls he's now committed against Omar Abdulrahman. Anyway, well worked by Ali Mabkout. Out to Mohamed Abdulrahman. Stings the palms of Matt Ryan. And they can't hit the target on the follow-up. Good scrambling by the Australian defence at the expense of a corner, which will be the first of the game for the UAE.
Yeah, very good scrambling and a good block by Matty Ryan. So necessary. An extra player again for the Emirates.
10 minutes gone, second half. Punched in by Omar Abdulrahman. He's going to get a second go at it. Australia got to stay strong here. Abdulaziz Sankour available, but played off him by Troisi, cleverly so, to relieve that little spell of pressure. He's had a good game, hasn't he, James?
Very busy. Very busy, one of Australia's best.
Will Aaron Moy get back in?
One would imagine so. But at whose expense, Simon?
You can't say Jackson Irvine would be the natural man to drop on tonight's display either. Anyway, that's for the future. Still plenty to do here. And the Abdul Rahman's combining. Walid Abbas pushing forward from left fullback. Oh, it's dangerously across the face. Brad Smith had to deal with it. And here come the Emirates again. Their World Cup hopes on the line, remember. Australia trying to stay focused. In by Abdulaziz Sankour. Dangerous shape to it too. It pops out for Mohammed Abdul Rahman. He hangs it up. Australia deal with that one. Omar Abdul Rahman bundled down inside the D, but no whistle. Now it goes in favour of the Australians, and I think they might have got a bit fortunate there. This will tell us more. That's a foul, isn't it?
Yeah.
By Leckie?
There's a good case for it, but I will say it wasn't a foul at the other end of the field on James Troisi. So if anything, the referee's been consistent. And I'll just tell you who carried the ball out and has looked fantastic tonight again, Trent Sainsbury. Outstanding return to the team.
Tension building in Sydney. Australia's lead slender. And looking a little tentative in the last few moments.
There's a foul by the combustible Ali Mabkout. He's not often far from the flashpoints.
And he was late. No question about it. He's a heck of a goal scorer, Mabkout, not just for his country, but at domestic level as well. 65 in his last 3 seasons. Miloš Degenek, the latest Australian defender, to drop down in pain. Meantime, it's been worked out to Brad Smith. Miller Jedinak. What a second goal would do here for Australian confidence. Left a little short by Jackson Irvine. And that's well beyond Matt Leckie. Is he nervous, Andy? Doesn't look it.
No, he's not nervous, but he wouldn't be completely happy. His team's not controlling the game. They're up, as I said, as we've all said, against a very good opponent who haven't got many more opportunities after tonight.
It's wayward from Abdulaziz Sankour. Oh, and then a falcon from Ahmed Barman. The busy James Troisi. Still going. Lovely, mazy run. Deep cross finding Leckie. Not sure that was his intention, but anyhow, only parked away by Mohamed Salem. Milligan encouraged to shoot. Jackson Irvine on the turn. Appeals for hands. Nothing doing, says Ahmad Al-Kaf. You can feel the tension around the Sydney Football Stadium. As Socceroo fans want a second goal.
Yeah, good read and challenge from Miloš Degenek to keep the UAE pinned in. They look dangerous in open play, not surprisingly. It's the tail end of the call for the handball. Oof. Well, I'd have appealed if I was out there too,
yeah,
Simon.
Of course. This is Al-Hamadi. Sankour. Ali Mabkout. Sankour's continued his run. Too wait for the cross. Needed to be better than that, though.
Well, they've escaped there, Australia. James Troisi couldn't or simply didn't track Abdulaziz Sankour. His run continued and he had nothing at the end of it. Might have been way more dangerous for the Socceroos.
Troisi. Smith under pressure here from Al-Hamadi. There's been a marked increase in the output from the Emirates. Second half, understandably so. They've got a free kick.
Again, I can't interpret that one for you, Simon, before you ask.
Obstruction. It's a good challenge by Bailey Wright. Timed that one all right. Omar Abdul Rahman. Ismail Al-Hamadi. Pretty tame cross. Scooped up in the air, though, awkwardly by Bailey Wright. Volleyed forward by Sainsbury. Juric can't stick hold of it. And back come the Emirates. Al-Hamadi. Lovely touch by Sankor. He's the fullback, remember. A sliding challenge by Sainsbury, but timed it well enough.
Saved the day, in fact. Again, Sainsbury brilliant. But Australia's struggling through midfield to track runners. The UAE are making an extra man for themselves.
Mahdi Ali has one change left. I wonder if he might bring on the veteran at some stage, Ismail Matar. 33-year-old who scored a fair few goals at international level. Did captain the team against Japan last time out, but left out in favour of Ahmed Khalil today. The equation for the Emirates is simple, really. They've got to go for it. Australia trying to ride the storm, and Brad Smith in no particular hurry with the throw. Frenchman by Juric on Ismail Ahmed, although he disagrees. Clipped forward by Sankor. Al-Hamadi. Jedinak well positioned. Ryan wanted a touch. Oh, it's risky. It's nervy stuff from Australia. And it's back with Omar Abdul Rahman. Just trying to find that vital piece of penetration, the UAE. But if this pressure continues, I'm not sure whether Australia are going to be able to hold out.
Well, they need to secure some possession to stem the flow, there's no question, but look like they're lacking freshness, the Socceroos, which I think is completely understandable, but they've got to work through it.
Would you be thinking about making a change if you're Ange Postecoglou?
Well, you know, it's an hour in, and he normally gets to that point before he starts thinking about those sorts of changes.
Maybe somebody like a Massimo Luongo, if he's fit. Maybe, dare I say it, somebody like Riley McGree.
That would be pulling a rabbit out of the hat, and wouldn't it be great to watch if that's the case?
Handball by Sankor. .25 minutes to go in Sydney. Australia have a tentative hold on 3 points. Sainsbury's dallied too long on the ball. Situation retrieved, partly at least by Jackson Irvine.
Again, good coverage. Trent Sainsbury, his first error of the night, he's covered up for plenty of his teammates, and he needed Jackson Irvine to do exactly that for him then.
Smith barged into by Al-Hamadi. It's done the trick for the Emirates. They can't make further progress. Now a bit of space for Jackson Irvine. Wide right is Matt Leckie. Chance for him perhaps to have a run at Walid Abbas. He's got a corner, which is not a bad result.
It's a return. It's a return, and Matt Leckie has worked hard down that wide right position up against Walid Abbas. More often than not, he's got the better of his opponent, the left fullback for the UAE. But Australia need this breather, Simon, as much as anything, really. I mean, they're pre-programmed to keep driving and keep pushing, and they'll play according to that program, but they could do with an injection, the Socceroos. There's no question of that.
James Troisi is about to inject the ball into the penalty area. And Jackson Irvine got a piece of it and stabbed over the top by Bailey Wright with the aid of a deflection. They'll get a second bite at the cherry, the Socceroos.
Well, they have been dangerous all night from these situations. He couldn't get it clear. It didn't look like it was going to cause a lot of trouble, to be honest, from Bailey Wright, so they'll take the second best, which is his corner.
Which they work short to Brad Smith. There's no way through. Omar Abdulrahman, there's nobody in advance of him, though, in a white shirt. He's got a foul. And you can hear the response from the Australian gallery to that. The 10th foul he's suffered tonight. And there are some tense faces wearing green and gold around the place. Maybe his a little bit less so.
Yeah, well, there's not a lot of nails left around the stadium, put it that way. Australia cannot get free. They're finding it difficult to boss the game.
And the applause you can hear in the background is that Tim Cahill has been summoned. Might be with us shortly. So often been the go-to man down the years. Salah puts his boot through it. Easy win though for Sainsbury. Miloš Degenek. Just too many Emiratis around him. Walid Abbas. Place taken out of the ball by Milligan, but then Sainsbury's lost out to Ali Mabkout. The return ball, but Milligan quickly back into position. Clements has only gone as far as Mohamed Abdulrahman, who was boxed in by Jackson Irvine. He wants the foul, but isn't going to get it. A little show of petulance towards the referee. High stakes for both teams, of course, this evening. Smith. James Troisi. Jedinak. Laid off by Juric. Milligan. Oh, good touch by Leckie. But he was upended by Walid Abbas, who's going to have a conversation with the referee, and that will also give Australia the chance to make that change. And listen to the noise around the SFS for the arrival of one of Australia's most favourite footballers. About to win his 96th cap, which takes him level with Lucas Neal, his big mates from the past. Joint second spot behind Mark Schwarzer in the all-time Socceroos list. Well, he is the poster boy, isn't he? If you were Tommy Juric, you might be a bit upset by that.
Let's assume that half that cheer was for his contribution.
Let's hope so. Cahill quickly into the scrap. This is Troisi. Can't fend off the attentions of Khamis Ismail. Mohamed Abdulrahman can't make progress either. And Lecky's kept the ball alive, and Australia could be away here. It's Lecky. The cutback for Troisi. Oh, and he's blazed it over the top. And that was the moment, surely, when Australia could have put the game to bed, and one of their best players on the night couldn't convert.
Well, it was one of their best players of the second half, at least, Matt Leckie, with a trademark burst onto his right foot, not his favoured. And credit the Emirati defence. In desperation, they tracked the Socceroo midfielder and did enough to put him off.
Omar Abdulrahman has his pocket pinched in midfield. Brad Smith just lost his bearings for a fraction of a second. Inside the final 20 on a tense night in Sydney, and the Emirates are still in this. Beautifully flighted ball by Omar Abdulrahman. He'll be disappointed his teammates didn't control that. Then a high, wild challenge by Al-Hamadi on Bailey Wright, who's committed a few fouls of his own tonight.
Well, he's consistent, the ref. There's been a yellow card-free zone here this evening. I mean, that's a yellow card normally, but it's not been all night, so fair enough, play on. It was certainly a yellow card, the challenge on Matt Leckie, that beautiful turn inside the second half, in the attacking half for the Socceroos.
32 fouls in the game. Australia with 22 of those. It's not often you see a foul count that high without at least one yellow.
Well, if Australia can settle in possession, Simon, there's a massive opportunity. The Emiratis are playing with 3 up front, Australia at 3 at the back, so it's virtually man on man. It means that there has to be an opportunity.
Good strength by Smith, just couldn't wrap his boot around it.
But the problem,
Kale waiting.
Sorry, Simon, the problem continues to be for the Socceroos is the inability to maintain possession. But they're defending doggedly, the home team. They're being forced to by this character-filled performance by the visitors, whose World Cup hopes are on lifeline at the moment.
Just one home game to come for the Emirates. That's against Saudi Arabia in late August. They've also got to travel to Thailand and then to play Iraq away, which will probably be in Tehran again. So the next quarter of an hour or so assumes vital importance for Al Abyad, the whites. Australia have got to hold on. Trip on Sainsbury. Finding a bit of space. This is Troisi now. Brad Smith just on his heels for a moment. Oh, good win back by Troisi. Very determined play.
That's been outstanding tonight, James Troisi. Really outstanding effort, output. And his performance either deserves a goal or a clean-cut assist to try and settle this for the Socceroos.
Well, he won the Asian Cup for Australia in Sydney. Can his delivery win this game for the Roos? Not quite. Matt Leckie scored from a set piece with his head against Iran, and he was in the mix again here. Came off the shoulder. Sort of delivery he normally loves. Couldn't reach it. Well, let's see how that hamstring is. Maybe that's why it's gone short. Hasn't looked overly troubled by it, has he? If indeed he's got it now. Australia letting the ball to bounce, could be costly. And Bailey Wright stabbed it back towards his own goalkeeper. The Emirates are appealing for a pass back. I can only assume Ahmed Al-Kaf deemed that that wasn't deliberate. Look at the space open up here for Jackson Irvine. And wide right is Cahill. looking for numbers in the box. Irvine's touch. And Troisi on the follow-up again, couldn't send the ball goalwards. But the chances are just starting to arrive for Australia as the Emirates push forward and perhaps start to tire as well.
Well, this is the opportunity to which we referred as an errant touch from Jackson Irvine, unfortunately. But it was the man who received the ball in the wing position, Timmy Cahill, who's what Australia needed inside the penalty area.
96 caps, 48 international goals, Tim Cahill. The Emirates are preparing their third and final change. More on that in a moment. It's an excellent win by Leckie. Punched it into the box. It's just a little bit beyond Cahill, but he does retrieve it. Brad Smith available. Hangs it up, and there is a great save by Ali Kassif to deny Jackson Irvine what would surely have been a game-clinching second goal. Great stop by the Emirates custodian. Australia denied.
Beautiful little ball from Brad Smith. Great run from Jackson Irvine. Outstanding goalkeeping. The pressure of the situation. He reads the flight of the ball and he senses there's a Socceroo coming through. He maintains his composure brilliantly to deny Jackson Irvine a second.
Australia's 11th corner of the game. Home fans trying to roar the team home. Cahill trying to disguise his run behind Jedinak. There it is! There is the second goal! And it's come again from a corner, and it's Matt Leckie, who has goals in back-to-back internationals. Relief all round the Sydney Football Stadium. 3 points now surely delivered for Ange Postecoglou.
Well, the postscript possibly is going to be that Australia relied on another set piece to score it. The fact is, Jackson Irvine probably settled it with that attack before, brilliantly saved. But it's a pinpoint cross again from the corner from James Troisi. And he's up like a gazelle at the near post. He gets his shoulder out the way this time. Learned from his mistake last time and buries it for the Socceroos. Smiles all round for Matty Leckie. And there's a lot of relief, people in the stadium.
Well, it was Tehran all over again. Troisi, the deliverer this time. But Leckie on target for the second international in a row. And they can breathe a little more easily now. Here's that third and final change for the Emirates. And as we hinted at earlier, it is the veteran Ismail Matar, another striker, on for defender Walid Abbas. But, well, it is a long, long way back now for Mahdi Ali's team. And Australia, despite some very nervy moments in this second half, look like they're going to get the job done.
Well, the pressure relief for the time being. The Socceroos fans finding voice. It's been a nervy night for them. Job done, not done yet, very obviously. But they've edged closer to the 3 points.
Robbie Cruz going to be with us shortly. Here's the man of the match, surely. Dragged back by Ahmed Barman. And finally, Ahmed Al-Kaf's patience has run out. In the 80th minute, he finally goes to his pocket and produces a yellow card.
Well, now we know for a fact he did bring his yellow card. It was there somewhere. And James Troisi was just about to release Matt Leckie, who was in acres of space. So it was a very judicious breaching of the rules. Well adjudicated by the ref.
Ismail Matar's first involvement. It's not a particularly good one. Well, you just felt all the tension evaporate around the stadium when that ball hit Matthew Leckie's head and ended up in the back of the net.
Well, I'll tell you what, Simon, the nervous system's going to go into overdrive if the Emiratis can find one.
They could get one here, but Abkout is offside again. And a couple of those situations just gone a little bit too early. So the score of the first goal, Jackson Irvine to be replaced for the final 10 minutes. And on in his stead is Robbie Cruz, who becomes the 32nd Australian to win 50 international caps.
Well, an outstanding game from Jackson Irvine. He's going to deserve whatever plaudits come his way. Scored the first goal tonight on the back of a lung-bursting effort in Tehran not a week ago. And he's backed it up tonight with a great performance, which is certainly appreciated by the fans gathered here, and I'm sure watching through their television sets.
Yedinak leaving it short for Troisi. Omar Abdul Rahman finds the space for Ismail Matter and was then collected by Mark Milligan. That's a costly booking for Milligan. He will be out of that game against Saudi Arabia in June. His second booking of the group phase in this third round of qualifying. He almost just fell into Omar Abdul Rahman. So that's a blow for the Socceroos. With their World Cup hopes still very much in the balance. Milligan's such a key player. Omar Abdul Rahman trying to locate his brother on the far side of that penalty area. Instead, it's Matt Leckie to carry it forward for Australia. Good first touch by Cruz. Super stuff by Robbie Cruz. In by Leckie. Ismail Ahmed readjusting.
A great contribution from Robbie Cruz. Really telling pass. Speaking of lung bursting, how's Matthew Leckie going at the moment? It's just an incredible output from him down that flank. Might have held on to that just a fraction longer, so Tim Cahill could have set himself better, and Tim Cahill find the necessary space.
Well, Milligan's been caught by Mohammed Abdul Rahman. Maybe giving one back on behalf of his brother for the earlier challenge. And there's a booking, I think, for Bailey Wright as well.
Yeah, well, that's been coming. You've been sort of touting that one all night, and it's taken till now for the referee to find excuse to give Bailey Wright one, sticking his nose in where it wasn't required.
After all the fouls he's committed tonight, he gets one for dissent. But I think that was a bit of payback.
Well, that's a potentially nasty one from Abdul Rahman. I understand completely why the players react. It's peace until the next war. Which will probably be the next club game in the Emirates when they face one another.
Well, Mark Milligan won't be taking part for the next week or two domestically because he got sent off in his last game against Al Wada. And he's got a yellow card that rules him out of the next match against Saudi here tonight. Cruz stabs it through. Leckie. Australia looking for a third. UAE kept bodies in the way. Scrambled brilliantly there to keep themselves alive for a few more minutes at least. Oh, and then a high foot by Ismail Ahmed. And he goes into the book as well. And all of a sudden, after going 80 minutes without issuing a yellow card, there's been a flurry of them.
Well,
he nearly took his head off there.
Yeah, he is a warrior. I mean, that's completely illegal, obviously, and it's been duly penalised. Ismail Ahmed is a warrior, but James Troisi, I'm telling you now, could see that coming. The ball bouncing chest to head height, and such was the commitment and his mindset at the moment. He stuck his bonds exactly where he knew the size 10 was coming.
Another foul, this time on Cahill.
Well, this certainly works in Australia's favour. The Emiratis, in their state of panic, if it becomes that, can very readily self-combust. And Australia, with their wits about them, can turn the screws. Keep the ball, move the whites around, keep turning them around, keep chasing them. Force the fouls and hopefully score what would be the match-winning third.
Well, if anybody deserves a goal, it's probably James Troisi. I'm not sure whether Miller Jedinak might fancy this one as well. It's going to be one of those two, you'd think. James Troisi, such great form for Melbourne victory. The skippers pull rank and put it straight into the wall. Recycled down the right-hand side through Robbie Cruz. There are half shouts for a penalty through handball.
What about that from Mile Jedinak, just quietly? With no time off the rebound from the wall, he splits the defence with a beautiful pass.
How about this from Troisi? Wriggling his way through.
I thought that was a foul
I
too
thought
by
that was a foul
Brad
too by
Smith.
Smith, yeah.
Whilst we're at it. This is going back to the old Eton rules days, Simon, 1840. The old village games.
Yeah, not quite that physical.
Oh, you know what I mean.
Great to see so many youngsters in the crowd wearing their green and golds.
A couple of kids from the John Moriarty Foundation up there in Borroloola.
Now Cahill starting a march on Ismail Ahmed, but he didn't get the purchase on that. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Ismail Matar trying to protect it. He gets a foul. We're going to see a Socceroos debut for Mustafa Amini. Trip by Mata. So third and final change, and it's going to be the skipper who'll hand over the armband to Tim Cahill and take his leave. And it's a debut at international level for Mustafa Amini. Now playing in Denmark with Aarhus. 43 caps for the Australian junior teams. And now he's first for the senior side. Yeah, well, he left the A-League through the Central Coast Mariners as a real talent. And we hope to see how that talent has been developing. Firstly at Dortmund in Germany, and now in Denmark. Obviously good enough to get into Ange Postecoglou's line of sight. And he is the 20th player to make his debut under Ange Postecoglou. So a bit of icing on the cake here for the Roos at the end. Troisi again with the corner. And again, they find their range. It was Lecky at that near post. It's given him plenty of joy in recent days, hasn't it?
That's
one delivery.
Yeah, 1 from 3 tonight, 2 from 4 over the 2 games in the last week. Look how he gets up. What a fabulous athlete, Matthew Lecky. This on the back, Simon, of the trench warfare at the Paz Stadium. That was hard yakka. The 10 hours plus flight back here, recovery time, and he was one of the players I saw post-game in Tehran, and he was walking very gingerly 2 or 3 hours after full time, and he somehow finds this performance tonight.
All on the back of a season at club level when he's failed to score a goal all campaign for Ingolstadt. Looks all up for the Emirates. Mohamed Abdulrahman stays down. His booking incidentally means he will miss the next qualifier for the Emirates. The second caution of the group stage. And the crowd urging Australia to get on with it. Lucky to try and inject it in the vague direction of Robbie Cruz. Whacked upfield by Mohamed Salem. Into stoppage time at the end of what has been a tense night, and I wonder what the future holds, if indeed there is a future, Andy, for Mahdi Ali as Emirates coach. Under heavy pressure after the defeat against Japan, he was asked whether he'd resign, and the feeling is if they lost tonight, he was toast.
Well, he's got a future somewhere, even if it's not with this team that he's built. He's an outstanding coach. Someone will find room for him in their program, there's no question about that, but this one will hurt. They've committed themselves well tonight. They haven't, surprisingly for them, found a cutting edge at the end. Too many offsides. And now Australia really grinding home the result. A third not out of the question by any means.
Look at the open pasture in the centre of the field. Tired legs out there. Heavy pitch. Amini in for Cruz. Laid back for Leckie. They're trying to pick out Cahill. Ismail Ahmed was there. Smith, who stretched awkwardly there and has pulled up lane. Might have just twisted or maybe even rolled an ankle or something there. He looks to be in some discomfort, doesn't he? Yeah, he's just jarred that left leg. Or is it the right? It's one of the two anyway.
Well, it's the one he doesn't use much.
Yeah.
Apart from getting on the bus and running very, very quickly. Great second half from Brad Smith. There was room for improvement, there's no doubt, from his first half showing, but outstanding contribution in the second half from Brad Smith.
Australia just content to try and play a bit of possession football, run the clock down, it's offside against Cruz. A little bit sloppy from the substitute. News from one of the other games in Group B. Japan have taken an early lead over Thailand as the full-time whistle goes here, and it's job done for Australia, and boy, they needed that. A first win in 6 months, and how vital might it be? The Roos back in the game, back in the frame for Russia, thanks to Jackson Irvine, and then a second half header from Matthew Leckie. Ange Postecoglou, under pressure pre-match, was cool, calm and composed throughout. His team had to ride out a fair bit of pressure in that second half from the United Arab Emirates, who were plucky but ultimately